and welcome to Tardis Talk. Again, my name is Tony. I am the host, along with my other fellow co-hosts. We are with It's FanBox, and if you don't know what It's FanBox is, please check out itsfanbox.com as well as at It's FanBox on YouTube. You'll see these videos as well as other lives that we've done and some interviews that we've done. And I know we've got some more going down the road with some indie horror films that are coming out. But with that said, let's go ahead and just get started. First up, because I gave him a really short end on the introductions last week, I want to go ahead and just give him the floor to introduce himself. So, David, it's all you.
Hey, I am Xanatos1138 on all socials, mostly TikTok. I'm trying to get back into Twitch, but other than that, that's me.
All right, and then of course Niko, back from KatsuCon and from what I understand, the Greywater fiasco in our Artist Alley. Niko, tell us about yourself and share a little bit of information about that, because I know you did dress up as a doctor as well as other things.
Yep.
Good.
Niko Skywalker on TikTok, Skywalking Niko on Instagram, and I was at Katsu with the Greywater situation. I bought something from a booth like 20 minutes before it happened that was right across from it, and I'm so glad that I went there when I did, and I never went back the rest of the weekend.
Oh, that's yeah, I can imagine. Now they said, from what I understand, like if you don't know what Greywater is the bad water. And what they said was it wasn't necessarily bathroom Greywater, but it was like the kitchen Greywater, which I don't know if that's even much better when you think of like washing like different things and like meat scraps and stuff like, I don't know. But yeah, that's terrible. And I hope they did right by the artists that got affected. I think there was some argument about whether Gaylord was involved, was responsible, or if KatsuCon was responsible. But again, that's why you get insurance when you go to a convention. Just saying. And Marvelous Johnny is not with us this week. He is actually at Fan Expo Vancouver with Ellie All the Day Show. And so I hope they're having fun. I know they did their panel on Friday afternoon or Friday evening. So excited to hear about that next week with him. And Will Wilkins is not with us today because he's just under the weather. He bought one of those Aura rings. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They're kind of like biometric scanning rings. And it basically told him he felt like crap. And so he had to say, I agree. And so he's resting, and hopefully he's watching at some point with us. But today we are talking about, I don't want to say it's an episode that I had to muscle through, but let's face it, we're talking about the family Slitheen, these baby-faced flatulent killers. And so we're talking about episodes, I believe it's 4 and 5 of the 2005 season, which is Aliens of London and World War III, THREE. And so I just love the way they title these things. But let's go ahead. Let's go around the table, the screen. I don't know. What do you want to call it? Go around the TARDIS and let's take away. I started with David introduction. So Niko, it's all you.
I was surprised how much I enjoyed rewatching these, because it was almost like I didn't remember them at all. So I'm like, ooh, new Doctor Who. And I just kept staring at the random things, like the way Nine holds his Sonic, and I'm like, this is classic. But a little funny. It's a funny episode, but crazy things happen, and I kind of like that in Doctor Who. It's like, yeah, flatulent aliens. Now we send a missile at the theater. I'm like, okay, wait, we're here now. One of those classic episodes, or two-parters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like I was glad it was a two-parter and we watched both back to back, because the first half of it was just a lot of Jackie complaining.
Yeah.
And,
oh my word, yes.
I get it, worried mother, but also just obnoxious. And then poor Mickey, who got blamed for Rose's disappearance because they misjudged it, and it was like, oh, we're actually a year ahead. Whoops. And just I didn't remember, oh yeah, it actually doesn't get to the meaty stuff really until the second part of the two-parter. But I didn't there's certain things I didn't remember. I didn't remember the pig alien I didn't remember like parts of the resolution, so it was like watching. Oh yeah, no, I actually went into it watching it kind of some parts for the first time. It felt like same thing.
Yeah. It's funny. I did not necessarily like these episodes when I first watched them. They are much more enjoyable this time. Now I don't know if it's because I was watching with a purpose and I was trying to like find little things. But again, like we're gonna go down the road. So we had Gwyneth talking about Bad Wolf in the last episode. We of course had the kid, putting graffiti on the TARDIS, which I love the fact that no matter what happens, Doctor Who knows where the doctor knows where this kid lived and was able to get him to clean the graffiti off. And like I thought that was great. Mickey did get the shaft, and I will tell you, Mickey up until this episode was played to be the fool. He was meant to be an idiot, and I kind of felt like that wasn't fair because I felt like this kid had some acting chops. Thankfully, down the road, you really like Mickey, and Mickey really does hold his own. It's just not yet. And then, of course, the doctor gives Rose a key and then immediately goes off to figure out what's going on. And Mickey just runs right through the TARDIS into a wall. And like, I was like, maybe this kid doesn't have acting chops, because that was like my 10-year-old running into a wall on purpose. Like it cracked me up.
Yeah.
There were a couple things that I did like going back that I wasn't looking at before, like it didn't make sense and it didn't quantify with me when I watched it before. One was like, I was like, how did the Slitheen fit into the thing? And I forgot all about the collars and how they literally compress themselves. Which also made it really funny because the moments where they talk, and we're going to talk about it probably a little bit later, but the idea that they wanted to bask in their nakedness, it was more of a comfort thing, but also they're very shameless creatures. But I love how the one aspect of Doctor Who reminds me of 007, where it's kind of like the villain always has to lay out their master plan of what's going on. And so he's got the sonic screwdriver with like a thing of like whiskey or whatever. And he's like, I can turn this into something that'll blow us all up. Now tell us your plan. And even like later on, they open the door and they're filling them in like, oh yeah, you're right, but you're not gonna be able to do anything. And then they close the door back up. But yeah, fun episode. And one I definitely enjoyed the second time around. So if you didn't like a Doctor Who episode, watch it more than once. I will tell you, but give it some time. Let it marinate, especially within the history. Because again, like even next episode, we're going to have another Slitheen reference, even though it's a small one.
Yeah. One detail I think I caught this time that I didn't catch the first time around was they were only targeting bigger people.
Yeah,
because it was easier for them to fit. But that also means the reason why a bunch of the guy was like announcing who was showing up, like, why are these people showing up? They're super unimportant. Well, that's because they're bigger people. They had to target the specific bigger people to come to the 10 Downing Street.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it's kind of like if you're skinny, you were safe.
Mm-hmm. And I thought, I was like, wow, they would target me for sure.
You and me both, buddy.
Yeah,
Which, speaking of,
fun to rewatch.
Oh man, yeah, the flatulence too. Like, there's one thing, like you have flatulence, and is kind of a necessity because you're calcium based, but like they were having fun with it, like a lot of fun joking about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'm trying to save the world. Could you please stop farting?
Yeah. And it was just like it was like they the moment they stopped, like they knew they were gonna kill somebody or eat somebody or do whatever. What do they do? Do they eat them? Like, I kind of feel like they were kind of, because like the way that they were talking in that one moment when they're hunting down Harriet Jones and Rose, the way they're talking about like the pheromones and like the hormones and stuff of like Rose and the age of Harriet Jones, I'm like, it really sounds like they're talking at him like they're like, ooh, it's got this nice taste, a little bit of Chianti,
Honestly, I don't know, but they had to do something with it when they hollowed out the suit. So like, maybe, yeah, that probably.
Yeah, because there's nothing left behind.
It's just skin. Like, where'd the bones and the meat go?
Yeah. Can we also say that it seems like the way that the BBC or the Doctor, like the team, depict the military is that they're really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time they're pulling guns to a guy who just shows up in their research facility or the whatever, and he immediately says Formation Delta, and they just like snap into place, not even knowing who this guy is.
I was wondering if that was a callback to Old Who somewhere, like that was a thing maybe in one of the episodes. Formation Delta, go, and they just did it. But I don't know.
Which is also funny because he later down the road he's much more antagonistic against soldiers. But it's like, I mean, with this group and then with unit or whatever, he knows how to command. But then later on, especially when you get into Capaldi's run, like he's so anti-soldier. I almost wonder if that's because of the whole thing with the Matt Smith run, where they were going against the what was it, the church. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I just think it's like a quirk of Nine. He's like more willing to be around those things. It's like because he even just straight up launches a missile at 10 Downing Street as the conflict resolution here. It's like this guy, he's a little bit he's a little crazier. He's like, it's just a touch, just a little more unhinged.
Yeah. And Mickey like jumping in, like he's played an idiot until the fact that he's hacking into like nuclear class submarines and launching missiles at Downing Street. Like the kid took a big step when it came to what he could do. Like, I want to know what his day job is now, because we know Rose was working in the shops. What was he doing? Like,
I think he's a mechanic.
Yeah. They might have said it once or twice.
Right. I just remember him like running, like one time when the TARDIS appears, he like is in a mechanic shop and just bolts off. I'm like, is that his job? Is that what he does for a living?
Oh yeah. Gotta mention a character that's gonna kind of show up throughout the series here and there, Harriet Jones. Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones.
I love how she always has her car. Like, if she doesn't do it, they're like, yeah, we know. It's kind of like I could do this all day. Yeah, I get it. But she does play an influential part. She does have like moments where she breaks down, but you can definitely see that her character builds through the episodes to the point of where she doesn't want to, like, you can tell she's a public figure that wants to advocate for people. She wants to represent her people. At the same time, she also gets this idea, and it's almost very similar to Queen Victoria earlier on when Torchwood is started, because there's this fanciful like idea of, oh, am I going too far? I went way too far. I'm talking about something that hasn't happened yet. Or I guess for Queen Victoria is more like Harriet Jones at that point. Or there's this idea that things are fanciful, and then all of a sudden, like, you understand the sinister aspect of it, and what we see Harriet Jones go down the road is definitely a villain arc for a moment, but definitely I didn't know how I felt about her, but the moment she jumped out from behind that screen and was like, eat me first, take me first, like, I was like, okay, she's cool, I can handle her.
Shout out Harriet Jones.
Yeah, when the doctor recognizes her and says, oh yeah, she serves 3 successful terms as prime minister, I started trying to do the math in my head. It's like, is that around when David Tennant says she looks a little tired, doesn't she? Like, does that actually line up with 3 terms or what?
Or remember, what is it? The timeline is fluid. You can change things, and
wibbly wobbly tiny line.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Like, there's this concept that time is fixed, but it's not, that it's being altered as they continue on. And so I think it works out that things that they say early on that don't come to fruition later are because they've been affected by other events that have taken place before they were to get to that culmination. So at the time, I think the doctor is also different. Like, his knowledge is probably different as well, because like, even when we get to the Day of the Doctor, and we see how they don't know certain things about themselves because it has to be that way. They're time locked, and so they will forget some of the events that they actually take place in. Kind of like solves that plot hole issue through the story. Or I'm just talking out. I don't know.
No, yeah, no, it definitely does. 100%.
This is a new guy. This is a new Who fan. That's
stop
started to put the
second
pieces
guessing
together.
yourself, Tony.
Okay.
You're fine.
You're 100%.
We all get
correct.
quiet. I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
I do the
It's
same
definitely
thing.
Wibbly and wobbly. One thing I can say about this episode is I really enjoyed like how Mickey it's been a year and he just comes back. He's like, I spent this whole year training. And he like kind of becomes the guy that like died in the first episode with the he's like, yeah, I searched the web, I learned about you. And he even knows that the doctor used to work for UNIT. I'm like, he's been doing a lot of research. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Oh, and then like how many times is the doctor gonna be had guns pulled on him and then he becomes a VIP? Like she's like, if I would have known this is what being arrested was like, I would have done it a whole lot sooner. He's like, this isn't an arrest, this is an escort. I'm like,
Oh,
they were just pulling guns on him. Like, come on.
We're being escorted. 10 Downing Street.
Yeah, we're on 10 Downing Street.
Or it's like,
I love
it's like the time when he lands the TARDIS later on, and they just lock the TARDIS on a helicopter and just take it to UNIT. Like, you didn't think you might be in there? You know, just wondering.
Like, we found the TARDIS. We're bringing you here. I'm inside the TARDIS.
And then you start wondering, like, did the entire like system that keeps people from noticing it in their like their perception filter, like it's not working at that point because UNIT is immediately noticing the TARDIS?
They UNIT has psychic training.
Good point. We can just throw things out there. Yeah.
What I love about science fiction and fantasies, you could just say whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense.
Psychic training, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What you don't know is 5 years ago we were doing this flashback to something that we just filmed.
Right.
That makes sense now. Yeah, I love it.
It makes sense now. I understand it.
So the Slovene are not a race; they're a family. They're from Rexicoricofacialitorius, which I had to practice a little bit because it's literally the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious of the Doctor Who world. But they are just one family of that planet. And they are not there for world domination. They're not there for conquering. They're there to make a quick buck. I think I love that about them, that they're just opportunistic, like merchants, in the worst possible way. Now I shared with you guys some images from the Doctor Who figural book that kind of shows some things about them. So there's the We Are Family article that talks about them being a family, not a race. There's even later on, I was showing this to David earlier. Where did it go? Kind of what they were doing with the Slovene in how they were planning to do them. And they were originally going to give them no nose. And then David Moffat insisted on giving them a nose, which honestly, I would have liked them better without the nose, but that's just me, especially with the amount of flatulence they had. That would have made sense more as to why they thought it was funny. But was really cool is, I don't know if you can see it in, is it in that one? No, it's not in that one. It is, I think it's here. Nope, not there. Hold on. I'll find it. Give me a second. There's so many things I added to it. Okay, yeah, look, upper left-hand corner, where you see the pictures, you can see how they were in the bodysuits. First of all, really uncomfortable, I can imagine. They were looking through the collars, which I thought was a great way of kind of incorporating something without like completely giving away that they had to be able to see through the suits. But the blinking was really the only CGI that was added, with the exception of them running through the building.
Terrifying. I was like, why are they moving? This is so fast.
Yeah, you're like,
CGI, they're like,
yeah, it's like, oh, it's like these baby-faced fat guys, and then you're like, see them like start running and stuff. And I'm like, oh no.
As soon
Predator
as he grabbed
style.
the guy by the neck and up, I was like, oh, okay. the fear level should have been a little bit higher. These guys are legitimately dangerous.
And when they pull out the claws and you hear the cling, like the sound with, like they did a good job of like getting you the idea. Those things are razor sharp. Like you don't want to be messed with it.
I love the CGI effect. What's the eye blink? Like right at the end before the missile hits, it's just like head turn, blink, explosion. I'm like, I don't know why that was just so funny to me.
That and the fact that when the missile's coming, they're like grabbing their suits and they're trying to get them on real quick and they're just like hopping around. Like I just love that. It's like you got with your pants down. It's perfect.
Gosh, I still can't believe the Doctor just launched the missile at 10 Downing Street. It's like, all right, later, guys.
Well, that's all he knew how to do. Like,
Right.
I kind of get it. They did. I mean, they had the whole, it's either the world or Rose, and of course, Jackie's not going to want him to do it. Like, I get it. It's a mother. I would rather everybody die than my kid die, is that concept. But then you had that moment where Mickey's like about to do this and Mickey's like stone cold, like, I got to do it. I don't like the Doctor, but when this stuff happens, he's the only person. Like he hates the Doctor, but he also respects the Doctor. And it was interesting to see that. And when she's like, I could stop it, he's like, then do it. And that was like, yeah, mad respect. I thought that was a great line.
In that same
respect for Mickey.
In that same vein, it doesn't happen very often. In fact, this might be the only time. But when Mickey tells the Doctor, look, I can't go because this is all too much for me. I don't understand it. I just don't tell Rose that. And then he covers for Mickey by saying, nope, it was my total decision. He can't go. He's too much of a liability. It's like, oh, he actually did Mickey a solid. That's cool.
Yeah. And you see that down the road, like, even when we get to what was it? The end of Rose as a companion, like Mickey has definitely become who he needs to be. And I think it's because being with the Doctor gave him an opportunity to be there for his family when he couldn't have been before. And it gave him like a second chance with his grandmother. And then with that, him being this version, like, what was it? Did they call the other Mickey? Was it Mickey or was it Ricky?
Ricky.
It was Ricky. So like, it was just hilarious that the Doctor would call him Ricky by accident, but it was actually the name of the other Mickey. And so he had that chance of being that leader and that he could do those things to the point of where when he comes back during the whole, Dalek event, that he's really an asset.
Comes back, giant gun in hand. I'm like, whoa, Mickey, that's you.
Let's see. Mickey to the rescue. So again, the soldiers were completely worthless. Like they had the acting prime minister telling them the upper floors are quarantined. The alien that killed a bunch of people are quarantined upstairs. We're gonna go up there. You guys stay down here. Like nobody put two and two together at all.
Doctor's like, they're aliens. They're shape-shifting inside of the humans as their body. He looks over like, that's not going to work. He's like, no. Like it was the truth. I know it sounds so crazy, but please believe this guy. He's on the list of respectable people for a reason.
Yeah, he was a VIP, and they still chase after him.
Right?
So this is the episode where Rose kind of officially becomes a companion. She's referred to as a companion a number of times. But she packs a bag. She's ready to go. She's basically signing up for this life. And she doesn't want to change. She doesn't ever want to stop. And we'll hear that later on. And it does kind of come to beg that a number of the companions do have an emotional relationship with the Doctor that isn't reciprocated. Specifically Martha Jones, I can think of. We know Amy Pond as well, which is really weird and creepy when you think about it, for the fact that like she really just comes onto the Doctor and then, oh yeah, I have a fiance that I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to marry the next day. Donna Noble doesn't have that relationship. It was always like a familial, like a sister type relationship, which I think is why I love that relationship so much. She's so annoying at first, but then when you get to the Dr. Donna, like you don't want that to go away. You don't want that to end. And even to the point with the specials that come up later on, and you seeing them be able to interact again, which spoilers, but you guys just need to watch the episode, watch all of it. And then, like I remember with Donna specifically, when the doctor, before he even like takes her, because she packs her bags too, he's like, I just need to make sure that you understand I'm only looking for a mate. And of course there's a little bit of misconstruing there because Donna's dense at this point. But
you're gonna mate with me.
Yeah, you're not gonna mate with me. It's like, no, a mate.
A
well,
mate.
That's good on you, buddy. But beyond that, like he gets to this point where he doesn't want to have that. And I think it's kind of funny because I think Martha Jones could have had a chance to have an emotional connection with the doctor, but it was right after Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And we know later on what that really was. Like it spells out, and I'm not gonna try to spoil it too much, but we know that the relationship, and you see it even in this episode. This is like episode 4. And he's like, I could save the world, but lose you. And that is a very heavy statement for the doctor to make about his relationship with Rose, even though they've only been together for a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, being right after Rose, she never stood a chance.
Yeah.
Never stood a chance.
No, she was friend zoned quick.
She still got the end result of, have you heard of our Lord and Savior, the Doctor?
Yeah.
But that was the thing, like the whole master story arc with Martha Jones. It could only have been as convincing to the world as she goes around telling the story of the doctor if she loved him. Like you don't go around talking about, like, hey, let me tell you about my buddy. Like there's a little bit more infatuation there than just he can save us. But yeah, she didn't. And of course there's the episode where they're being chased and the doctor has to make himself human. And that whole thing is a slap in the face to Martha Jones.
I love Family of Blood, but boy, did they do Martha so dirty.
Yeah.
The amount of racist comments and sexist comments that are made, I was just like, wow, they're packing this episode full of hate.
And she was like a maid or something. I'm like, oh,
yeah. And
and
she was his favorite maid. Like that was how they worded it. And he looks at her like, what are you doing? And it's just crazy. This is so wild. And she's like, I believe it or not, I was studying to be a doctor. It's like, I can't imagine. You could never be a doctor. And it's like, wow, let's just go there. But I also thought was interesting. We go back to Rose. I imagine there's got to be stories that are happening in between these. Like, you watch a sitcom, like okay, let's say Family Matters. It's not. When I watched it as a kid, I knew it wasn't like, Friday ended, the next episode happened, the next week it was just a date the next day. Like, you imagine life had to happen in between for the characters. And I think this is the same with Doctor Who. There are so many stories that are probably in between, because again, you get references about other things and other places that they've been that we haven't followed yet. But even in the short time that Rose has been with the Doctor, the 12 hours, that he is he's rubbed off on her so much that when they start getting this, like, the suspicion of aliens and everything else, like, she's like, well, could it have been this or this? And like, she's like right in there asking him questions. You see how, like, their knowledge level, and which makes perfect sense with down the road when Unit is recruiting companions.
Yeah. And you could tell by the way she's speaking, like, she immediately is like, well, let's just bomb them. And it's like, you're a very violent girl. It's like, well, when you're around the Doctor, you kind of get used to this.
Right. Harry Jones is calling out, we're talking about, like, people just died, and you're like, it's just kind of normal for us. It's our thing.
This happens a lot.
Yeah, and she's the one that did that, because, like, other companions are like, you mean killing them? Like, really? You shouldn't do that. And Donna's like, blow them up. Or not Donna, I mean Rose.
Yes. I love companions like that. That's why I like Ace with the 7th Doctor. Like, they know, boom, explosion. She carries around a bat. I watched her assault a Dalek with a bat. I was like, I am here for all of this.
And speaking of Daleks, we're gonna get back into that. Like, I'll be honest with you, I was worried that the Daleks weren't gonna be coming into play for a while when I first started this, because that was the one thing I was looking forward to. Big Bang Theory fan, and like I always saw the Dalek model in the background. I'm like, I really want to get into this, and I think the Daleks is where I'm going to enjoy it. And then, of course, we're going to get into that next week.
I like my first watch through when I first saw the Dalek. I hadn't really seen him or that a Dalek in anything else much referenced many places. And so I'm watching this going, what is up with this giant trash can? Why? What is so threatening
With the
about
plunger
this?
hand?
Yeah, and I was like mad. Like, why are they running from this giant trash can?
And then
seeing more of it, and then seeing like how it ended, and then seeing a bunch of other Daleks throughout the series going back to this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I will say this though, as funny as the Daleks' arms are, I absolutely loved when the 15th Doctor was handed the plunger for the stopped up toilet. And he's like, "Is it armed?" It's just like, what?
Gosh, I love all the 15s. He's such a silly guy.
Oh man. In fact, I feel like the Dalek episodes are some of my favorite episodes, and so I'm definitely excited. We will see this living again. It's not just this. In fact, I understand one of the spin-offs with I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I was looking at the thing. There is a storyline with that as well. But
Sarah Jane?
Yeah, I think so. With K9.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there is one story in that spin-off. Again, I have to still look it up, but I was reading the magazine, and it was specifically talking about it's not the only time that we'll see this living beyond in Doctor Who. There's one other instance. And then there was like the question of, are all the Slitheen evil? And it's like, no, but most likely yes. Because they say they were forced to do certain things, but I doubt that. I also kind of feel like the matron that we'll be talking about later on, she was lying a good bit. But
thinking about it, yeah. Not a lot of good going on in that side of that universe there for him. The sister planet Clum also not the guy comes over and just literally starts Absorbaloff. I could not remember until I said the word absorb.
It wasn't even like I don't even think that guy confirmed that was actually the name of the species. He's just like, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, Absorbaloff. That sounds nice.
The names that they come up with are sometimes so wonky. Like, it's just it. Would we ever really come up with these names for individuals? I don't think so.
Raxacoricophalopatorius is one for the record books. Like, I would never come up with that. Clum is just like, let's make one syllable to go with the other one.
But you know what's funny? Raxacoricophalopatorius makes perfect sense if you've at all read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like, that absolutely feels like it's like Magrathea. Like, it's like the some of the stuff that they come up with there. It's like, absolutely, it makes sense. And it's got to be the British humor, which I'm all for with it. Because let's face it, the aliens are really infatuated with the Brits. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it's
just a little bit.
Even from like Star Wars Legends, there's some weirdly named stuff in there. Raxacoricophalopatorius was like, oh wow, that's a lot to say.
Perfect. Perfect word right there.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, yeah, there is a lot of targeting going on. Even with the Eighth Doctor movie in the US, that was just the Master. That was just him. Everything else, screw the United Kingdom. Like, we have to just bomb Big Ben.
I guess 3 episodes back to back. I don't know if they intended this on purpose or if just somebody was on a kick with it. Gas isn't mentioned more than once in in all of these episodes. We had gaseous, I guess, noxious gas, aliens in the third episode. We're talking about, the beings that were coming through the torches and filling up the decomposing corpses, which is just unsettling to think about in the first place. And then second of all, we've got the Slovene that are flatulent at best. I wonder if there was like a theme being played of just let's just play with gas. Speak, it's like say, oh, you did aliens that were made of gas. Hold my beer, I've got you.
See what I can do. Yeah, that does seem to be a theme right now. Maybe just Russell T Davies was infatuated with the idea. It's like, yeah,
Infatuated.
Just think about like all the time that they're passing. He's like, oh, nervous stomach, and then later on they're just like, oh, that was the good one. Like they just don't even care at that point. So
I was dying laughing watching it. I'm like, this episode or this two-part is just way better. Like, on a rewatch, like initial watch through, it's just like, yeah, Gash is aliens, and like I'm walking down, like this is actually pretty funny. This is peak Doctor Who comedy right now.
What's funny though, if you got rid of the gas references, like the flatulence, and like throughout, I'm pretty sure they could have fit this in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah.
Because it really, after watching the 2 episodes, the one thing I realized was it didn't have the same like amount of content that some of the other episodes will have, like just solo episodes. I mean, like let's like Blink, okay? Blink has a lot going on in a short amount of time, and it feels like a bigger episode. But like Aliens of London and World War III, mind you, they're one story, but I mean, you take out certain little bits and pieces, like there's a lot of exposition about them and how they're having fun being the people and all this other stuff. You take that out, it's one episode. It's just one episode, which isn't bad. It allowed them to kind of expound more because you felt like you understood what the Slovene were. And then when you see them later on, it's like you don't have to worry about that, because I was very interesting because I liked in the next episode that we see them, there's more of a manipulation that's going on with the Doctor. Like she's trying to convince, and she's trying to basically manipulate her way out of being executed. And this one was just them being silly and wonky in all the right ways, but it could have been a much shorter episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this episode definitely felt like a smaller bite. The second episode of this season felt like a bigger, more to digest, and that was just one compared to this two-parter. But
yeah. Now the cool thing is, next episode, I know I have a lot to talk about because it's one of those episodes where there's a lot of payoffs that happen in that one episode down the road. And I think I like that because like they're building on something. And I'm trying to think if there's anything to really say other than like the Doctor like not wanting to come and have shepherd's pie with Jackie.
Yeah.
It's kind of a jerk move. A little
yeah,
bit.
he could have like, let me have dinner with your mom because I'm going to take you across time and space for who knows how long. Let me just like clear it first. No, it's fine. I'm going to go.
Yeah. Who knows how long?
Who knows?
Who? And the next episode is one of the probably the first of the many random cameos where I recognize the actor, that guy that plays the president or mayor or curator. I forget. He's like the leader of that place. Yeah. And I recognize him as one of the American henchmen from the first Mummy movie. I'm like, oh, that guy gets work.
You're talking about the curator, basically the collector. He owns the internet.
Yep.
Nobody owns the internet. Let's keep them thinking that. Yeah, that jerk. He does have that jerk face. There's some people, like, I bet he's a really nice person in real life, but he just plays such a good jerk. Like, there are certain people, like there are certain actors that you're like, oh, I love to hate this guy.
Yeah. Gosh, the episode hit me too, because they're like, we're in the future now. And I'm like, what year is it? It's 2013. I'm like, oh god.
It was 2012. She's like, oh, I'd be 26 by now.
Oh gosh.
And I was sitting like, wow.
It's like watching Back to the Future 2 again. It's like, oh wow, where's any of this?
Dude,
The funny
I
thing is, I would have been younger than that. I was 21 in 2005. No, I'd be older. No, I'd be older. Okay, I feel old.
Because Rose is 19.
2005, I was 20.
In fact,
Yeah.
19 is the average companion age.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
19 versus 900. Hell of an age gap.
Right?
yeah, it's like the worst kind of grooming.
It's just like time and space with me now. Dinner
But
with
that's
my
the
mom.
other thing.
No.
That's the other thing. The doctor also doesn't like regenerate into the right age either. Like he'll regenerate into a kid and he's been an
Yeah.
adult before. Like, come on.
He's been a really old man before. Now he's like a younger old man. Now he's like
I would kind of like to see the doctor as a kid though. Like I've said this in our group chat. We've done like a lot of iterations of the doctor now. I want to see a kid where everywhere the doctor goes, people don't believe that they're the doctor. Like they don't believe that they should have a right and like they have to have a commanding presence. Like I could see that being interesting.
It's like I haven't finished the series, but that's like the Umbrella Academy where
Yes.
5 is that kid.
Yep.
But he's actually like a 60-year-old man.
Yep.
I was just about to say that would be my casting for it. It's like,
Oh yeah.
such a great actor.
Yeah. Just no mannequins, please.
No mannequins. Maybe
Oh,
Apocalypse though, just a little bit of Apocalypse.
I remember that reference now.
Well, it got creepy. Oh, that'd be another one. I haven't watched the new season of it yet. So
No, I stopped like
Neither
2
have
seasons
I.
ago. I don't know. I think I tapped out of that show.
I forgot that last season came out, not gonna lie.
I will be honest, the season that I watched of Umbrella Academy, the only reason why they got me in was the whole Footloose like scene
Mm-hmm.
where they do the dance off with the other iteration of themselves. Like that got me. I almost completely tapped out. I think it was in season 3. Because that whole back in the past thing just was not interesting at all to me. I just muscled through it. Yeah. There was just too much drama going on between everybody. And I'm like, I think I get Back to the Future. And I'm like, and then it was like a collapsing timeline. So sure, whatever.
Right. You're like, well, all right, I guess.
It's like no future is better than the past that we saw. So okay. Of course, the monkey getting tattoos and stuff was pretty awesome.
I was like, give me the tattoo. He's like, you sure that was on your dead body? I was like, I gotta complete the loop.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else we can say about this. Like that was the thing. Like walking into this, I was thinking like, okay, beyond like introducing Harriet Jones, the silliness of this Levine, the constant fart jokes, Mickey being a boss at the end of this, which I really did appreciate. But I will say this: as much as I probably get it, like they wanted to build that relationship with Rose and the Doctor, and Mickey could have gotten in the way. I kind of think Mickey could have been like a really good companion.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've seen the Doctor do well with multiple companions at once.
That's probably why with Amy they decided let's bring Rory along too, because that really helped a lot.
I think they realized how creepy Amy was with the Doctor by herself, and so they needed to put somebody there to kind of keep her in check. Because at that point it was just like even the point where they're like, whose baby is it? It's like it was born because it was in the TARDIS. Like that's the only reason why it's part Time Lord.
Like you can't make a Time Lord. It's like you gave them one hell of a start.
It's like they stayed in the TARDIS on their honeymoon. I will say I'm looking forward to when we get farther down the road when they start talking about the other rooms in the TARDIS. I've always enjoyed. I feel like we've not gotten enough, like delving into how deep the TARDIS really is. Right. We get like the clothing at one point. Like we see like the tons of clothing that are there. we see it bigger now with the 15th Doctor. But I'd love to get into those, kind of like the whole, the pool and stuff like that. And I want to see more of the TARDIS and the depths of it.
Watching old Who, I was surprised when I'm going through, like, wait, where's he going? Like, he walked out of the console room and then they keep walking. I'm like, I've never seen any of this. Doors and corridors and that's a bedroom? You have multiple bedrooms.
Or like you went into the one Doctor's TARDIS in one of the episodes and it's like really small. And it's like, oh, I remember this was so cozy.
Yeah. I'm just immediately picturing Adric's bedroom. It was like posters and things. I'm like, I missed that. I wish you could have seen like Amy or Rory's room when they were like sitting there. I wanted to see the bunk beds, basically.
Right. Oh, something I didn't want to. Okay, so we've been told that the next season, with the 15th Doctor is coming out in April. Super
12th.
excited. There was reports going around that there was concern about wokery in Doctor Who. And I just want to say first, before we talk about this real quick, before we end, Doctor Who has always been progressive, has always been pushing limits that Americans are not comfortable with. It has nothing to do with wokery, which I thought was a very British term, because it doesn't sound like something, or it's at least an American that is trying to sound British in the way that they talk about Doctor Who. But why are we having this? Like I get like the 14th Doctor, or no, the 13th Doctor. Jodie did not get like a lot of really good storylines. And I think they were trying to do too much too quickly without really fleshing her out over time. I felt like she needed a season 1 and then a season 2 and then a season 3 to kind of really get into, because that's what Capaldi, the first season's really wonky with him. And then later on, Ncuti was trying to finish a story that started with the specials.
Mm-hmm.
And we now have a chance in this next season to really go deep into Who. And we've got new writers and everything else. I don't believe the rumor saying that there's concerns about wokery. I also don't believe that there are concerns about Ncuti wanting to quit.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear from you guys. What do you all think? Because I'm new to this, but I'm pretty. It's pretty easy that the people are just trying to either rile up to get people to watch the next season, or they're trying to cause outrage where there doesn't need to be any.
Mm-hmm.
I without a doubt think that it's going to be the same as Doctor Who's always been. It's going to be like nice, like really good themes, really in-depth storylines. I just hope that it's allowed to breathe and expand more, because I feel like a lot of random parts of Jodie and a few episodes of Ncuti, it felt very self-contained, very like very compact.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of hope that he just gets to go across the galaxy and sees Cybermen and Daleks and all of like the classic villains, while introducing maybe a couple of new ones like that. Also, Jodie was good at with that one like little creature that ate through the ship. Like you'd never seen that before, I don't think.
Oh yeah.
But, like just these random things that can pop in along with the classic stuff. Just allow the show to breathe more.
Yeah. No, and I think people are forgetting how good the last season was in a lot of places. But Niko, go ahead. What were you thinking?
Okay, so I had to do my research when I saw that. Apparently, that publication is known for making like random, no proof, no trust me, bro, sources and stuff like that. So I don't believe it. But with the wokeness of Doctor Who, it's like it's been here forever. It's been a thing they've been doing. My friend made a video about this literally today. I had to immediately like and repost because it's speaking so much facts. And even down to the like when people are like, what is this with Houdini? I'm like, that's like a long running joke. Like from as far back, like I think it goes back to like the second or third Doctor that started with Houdini, and it's just been coming up. It's like, yeah, he's been having a lot of wild weekends with Houdini for a long time. So yeah, I don't think Doctor Who is getting more woke. I just think more eyes are getting on this show, especially with Disney, like their promotion. I could tell when Disney took over the Doctor Who Instagram page, the way the promotion and all the things, like, everybody has a lot of eyes in this show, and it's not always the best eyes with the freshest perspectives, to say the least.
That is a good point. I feel like Doctor Who is one of those things where there was a big following, like a big American following, but it wasn't mainstream in any sense. And that's why, like, if you go and look for like collectibles and stuff, it's expensive in a lot of ways. Like, it's not cheap to be a Doctor Who fan unless you're 3D printing your own stuff.
Mhm.
Be prepared. Like, you're gonna pay it because, you know, I guess tariffs now, but regardless of that. But the moment Disney took it over, and I think this is the problem with Marvel, Star Wars, and now Doctor Who, is there is this expectation from, you know, the safe crowd of casual viewers that go to this and they expect something. They don't understand that America is behind when it comes to social justice type, you know, storytelling, where they're up with the times. We as Americans are so far behind like acceptance and being open. I mean, let's face it, Emancipation Proclamation, America was behind the rest of the world. I mean, Britain was not in support of slavery for a very long time. And so we've always been behind when it comes to stuff like that. And so for storytelling, it just makes sense that that's the case as well. Because I remember going back and I'm thinking, okay, 2005. I mean, we're talking about, like, if you look at content back then, it was very sexist. It was a lot of gay jokes and everything else like that. You look at the Doctor Who, they're asking pronouns back then. And we're talking about like 2005, whereas in like 2010, we're still making crass jokes. And it's only until now when they're like, oh, it's the Me Too movement. No, it's the rest of the world movement. Like, we're just catching up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's a little bit wild.
Yeah, it's really easy for someone that's like, oh, I'm obsessed with this thing, so I'm going to protect it like I have any right or say to do so. And I mean, if you look at like the casual viewer, like I always look to my mom, who watches these things week to week, doesn't get as involved as I do in a lot of these nerdy things. If she liked the show or episode or whatever, it's done its job. That's it.
Yeah. It's like even the whole, like, I don't think the last special, the Joy to the World special, was the best storyline, and I thought it was kind of interesting that they went that route for the ending. But at the same time, the long way around made the entire episode worth it to me. Like, that was a pure masterpiece. And so for people to think that like the storytelling for Ncuti's Doctor is off does not make sense to me, because that in itself was perfection. Like, that was what I wanted. Like, we've heard that phrase before, like, you have to learn, you have to do it the long way around, but never that good, and never to actually experience it with the Doctor. I love
aid, visual aid of the long way around.
Like, this is really the long way around. I love that, like, in that we get to see him like see that the world appreciates. And he's like, the TARDIS lined up. He's like, where'd you get him? He's like, I don't know. People just like sell them online in different. They're just drawn to it. Like, so are you. It literally made you steal it. But yeah, I love that we got to see that. It was a cool moment. And the Plenty scene too. Is this arm 10 out of 10?
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I don't think that there's any status to it. The only problem is once something comes out in the echo chamber of the internet, it just kind of builds momentum, and then you're hearing it from people that are just trying not to get lost in the news of things, which is why I'm glad. Like, I'm happier. I don't know about you guys. I'm happier talking about the stuff that I've always enjoyed, or that I'm just kind of experiencing, than trying to keep up with everything else that's happening around everywhere else. Like, did I see Captain America: Brave New World? Yes, I did. Did I enjoy it? Yes, I did. Have I seen Hard Eyes or this thing or that thing or whatever? No. Have I seen Gladiator 2? No, I have not. It's not on my radar. Like, I'll eventually get to it. Like, I forgot about the first Gladiator. Like, I watched that thing like too many times. But it was because good.
Sorry, no, I heard too many negative things about Gladiator 2. I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
But it's funny, like, if you go on it's fanbox.com right now, Mr. Snippets pulled his letterbox review and put it on there. he's got some very positive things to say about it. Like, it's a good legacy sequel. Whereas, I'll be honest with you, I didn't like Blade Runner. So when Blade Runner 2099 came out, no thanks. Like, or whatever it's called. I have no idea what it's called. But I think I just mixed Blade Runner with a Spider-Man.
49, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I have no interest. I liked Fury Road, and I did like Furiosa, but I wasn't like in a rush to see it. Like, I was okay watching it in streaming. But that's why I love just doing this, like going back. Like, anybody can watch these with us. You know, we can talk about it. At some point, I'd love to have some viewers or some commenters come on and join us. Speaking of which, let's see here. Yeah, just an agreement. Talking about how America's too ridiculous with people. People don't need to stick their heads into Doctor Who. America is perfect. That's why America's not showcased a lot on Doctor Who, because we don't need the input. Because then a lot of people are like, well, that's not how America is. I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah, yes, it is.
You are free to boo our anthem whenever you want. That's my stance on that.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I'm going to say this. Everyone talks about, we need to bring the anthem back into public schools. I went to a private Christian school. We stopped doing the anthem a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't care. It was just getting in the way of them actually educating. So, oh well, it's a problem, I guess, for you. It's like, the pledge has never saved me from being robbed or prevented me from, not forgetting that I live in America. Because every time I go to the grocery store, I see the price of eggs, I know I'm an American.
Yeah.
So, yep. With that said, next week we will be talking about the episode Dalek, episode 6. It's gonna get weird now because we're episode 4 and we're going into episode 6 next week. This is why I asked, and if anybody wants to know, I was thinking about going chronologically in order, like episode 4 was correlated with episode 4 and 5 with 5 and so on. But then I knew like this episode this series would not have as much content. So I was nervous about doing just the one part. And then at the same time, that meant we'd have to focus on the Slovene for 2 weeks in a row, which I don't think I had the mental capacity. I'm just going to be honest.
First episode would have been rough. This is just Jackie complaining for half an hour.
Yeah, that's what honestly the conversation.
Or how to make a murderer. You just like you pulling Mickey into the whole thing. Like,
she never apologizes to Mickey either. Did. That's crazy to me. He's like, you saved my life. He's like, yeah, and you hate me. Crazy, right?
She goes, sorry. She goes, this is wild. Like, like, I don't have a reason to hate you now. I don't know how I feel about it. Which is wild because later on you're going to know that he grew up with her. Neither here nor there. Oh my goodness. Okay. So next week is Dalek. I think this is a good episode. Speaking of Americans, we're going to see how jerky they can be. I'm just going to say it. And we get I will say this though. We will get the one companion, though how short-lived it is, that I hate the most in the series in this next episode. I can't stand this guy's guts at all, and I can't wait to talk crap about him. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I hate him. I absolutely hate him. Like, sheesh, I hate him. Okay.
Valid, understandably.
But with that said, we will see you guys next week. David, go ahead and just again tell us where we can find you. Not that, and we'll make sure that the stuff is in the show notes, but go ahead and then Niko after.
I am Xanatos1138 on all socials, mostly TikTok. I am trying to get back into constant content creation again, but I just kind of haven't found my footing. I might talk about the new Spider-Man cartoon at some point because that was a really cool show. Shout out to Niko for having that Captain America. I got the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes on. We did not plan that
at all, but hey.
That's it for me.
Niko Skywalker on TikTok, Skywalking Niko on Instagram. I do a lot of con crawls and cosplay content for whatever character I'm feeling at the moment, to be honest. But yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, and if you want to know where the good clubbing spots are in DC, you just have to watch his social media because Niko
Absolutely.
knows where to go have fun.
I
We're,
really
we're talking to a ghost right now, as a matter of fact.
Very true.
I'm an absolute prude in the country of Virginia. Like me and Niko live so close together, but we don't really ever see each other other than on here.
Should hang out more.
Which we're gonna fix that at some point once money exists.
Fan Expo Philly. Tony, go to Fan Expo Philly. We're all going.
Yeah, well, I will be honest. I'm dropping some news. I will probably not be going to AwesomeCon this year. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on trying to get the site and everything going, and I'm just going to take a break from conventions this year, and then I'm going to try to start back up next. But plus that, and my kid's got his Make-A-Wish going in June. We're going to end up in Orlando, at the parks and stuff. Probably going to see Epic Universe at some point. So that'll be my big thing this year, I guess. And then so we'll be working on that. I'm Tony. You can find me as Mr. Marvelite everywhere on social media. And then please check out It's FanBox. It's fanbox.com. The website is up and running. We are in the process of working with creators, and I'm going to give a quick blip about that so you guys know what's going on. We are not a news site. We're never going to try to get breaking news. I would rather people who have been making reviews and content, creation for their own enjoyment, to be able to share their experiences, share their love for whatever they love with other people, but to build up their portfolio. So these guys are on the page as we continue making content. Their stuff is going to be shown. It'll be their own digital portfolio. The same as like for Mr. Snippets, myself, and everybody else. We're looking for new writers. So if you've been like filling your letterbox with reviews for years, but you've never put them anywhere else, we might be the place for that. And we would definitely like to reach out. So reach us at itsfanbox@gmail.com. Or contact at itsfanbox.com. Either one, I've checked those emails, and we would love to reach out with you. Beyond that, just go to itsfanbox.com to see what movie reviews and what podcasts that we are doing. Plus, this one will be posted shortly. And then you can find this audio version wherever you look for your podcast. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places. And we would love to have you follow us there. Maybe we'll be the voices that you hear on your way to work to make your life miserable. And so with that said, we will see you guys next time. So let's go ahead and hit the road.